Kanai here again, hopefully to share some advice and insight with you. Hopefully it helps you to get you on your journey or help you to realize that you're actually just stuck in traffic. Now today I just wanted to talk to you about trust. And I was reading in the scriptures, Psalms, I think it was 118 and verse 8. And it was talking about putting your confidence in men. And the Lord is telling us that we should put our trust in Him. Now, we have been told and has been taught in our domesticating that, in order for us to have any good, healthy relationship, that trust has to be a factor. Now, the Lord is telling us that we should not do that. Now, this conflicts because here it is that we're taught, and everybody that we know here on this planet has been taught that, hey, trust in a relationship is very healthy. And we all would agree to that. But the Lord is saying now for us not to put our confidence, but to put our trust in Him. So now in order for you to be obedient to that, you have to first believe and trust that what the Lord is saying is accurate and concise and not willing to deviate one way or the other. So to have total obedience to that. Now some of us might have that and some of us might not. But for those that might not, this is where a lot of your pain and your suffering will come about, because this is where now you would do to the contrary, and now as a result of that will suffer some major setbacks in your life, where you might feel betrayed, where you might let your guard down, where you might put yourself in a vulnerable situation with someone that doesn't have, good intentions towards you, and you'll find yourself in these situations as a result of that. So the best way to deal with this is to put your confidence in God. Put your total confidence in God and trust that the relationship in which you're in, that you're trying to govern, that He first and foremost is the glue for that relationship, and that both parties respect what is it that the Lord has to say, and they're willing to adhere to what is it that the Lord has to say and govern their marriage or their friendship or their business relationship based on those premises. Now, what I mean by trusting in the Lord, what this does not protect you from the pain and the setback and the betrayal and so forth. But what it does, it gives us a cushion. And what I mean by a cushion, it gives you an opportunity to now deal with the repercussions in the event that this thing, as far as the betrayal or the setbacks from, someone not following through with their promise. It gives you a cushion because now you're able to help to make amends. You're able to deal with that situation, because when you're saying you're trusting in the Lord, you're not putting your all into that person and believing that there's no way that this person would do this or do that to hurt me. Because a lot of times people aren't totally malicious, where in some cases where they would totally set out to just bring harm or discomfort to the person that they care and they love. But sometimes the flesh and sometimes the mind would just want to do the things that it wants to do, and hence you'll have these setbacks. So the Lord is telling us to, hey, listen, give what you can, but to always remember that there's a possibility that this can go to the left. And in the event that this goes to the left, I am here to help with the repairing process. So trusting in the Lord gives you a sense of comfort that in the repairing process, you're able to do one of three things. You're able to accept the circumstances of what is it that has unfolded in that relationship and move on with your life. You're able to forgive in the circumstances that has arisen within that relationship and continue to work to make things better. Or you can sit and be patient and trust in the Lord that He will send the answer in His time. And these are the options that helps to cushion the blow, because you see, when you don't have this, then when these things happen, this betrayal comes about, then the first thing you revert to is to what? Is to your default, where you would get angry, you would lash out, you would want to slash tires, you'd want to bust out windows, you even want to get physical and beat up, and in some case, even murder as a result of infidelity. Like I was watching on Facebook the other day with a horrific scene with, oh man, I don't want to talk about that. But anyhow, we see that these things happen as a result of where you put your trust in someone and they betray you. So remember not to put your whole total confidence in anyone. And likewise, don't give anyone the false sense of security by making promises that that in some capacity you might not be able to fulfill. Why? Because there are limitations within us that we are going to do things outside of that. You know, and the Apostle Paul told us this, man. He says that when he wants to do good, evil is always present. And this means that it's going to always be this conflict within you, what your spirit wants and what your flesh wants. And it's definitely two different entities that always constantly battling against each other. And if you know that you have this internal struggle, you know, why would you want to put yourself in a situation to put your total trust and confidence in another man or woman that might have the same conflict going on? And we're not always able to battle and win successfully on every occasion. And it might be that one occasion that me or you might not be able to win that might cause us to break that covenant that we have promised to someone else. So by putting your trust in God, in the event that this happens, now you can start the repair process based on how the Lord says for us to deal with that. You know, because in some situations where the lack of trust might be broken, you might just have to walk away. It might be that severe, you know, in the case of adultery, or, you know, in the case where, you know, something horrific has happened and you just can't see it within yourself to cope with that situation anymore. And you might just have to walk away. You know, so trusting in the Lord gives you that acceptance, because now with a clear mind and a clear conscience, you can say, well, Lord, you know, I have done my best. I have done all that I can. And given the circumstances of the situation, I'm not able to deal with this, or it might be outside of your control. It might be whereas though that individual no longer want to cultivate a relationship with you, and it can be heartbreaking, because it might be something that you feel that you haven't done to warrant that level of treatment. And as a result of that, you know, you just have to come to a point of acceptance that, you know what, it is what it is. And, you know, I have to just continue to trust in the Lord that he will provide for me at a later interval. So in some cases, it's outside of our control. We can come to a point of acceptance once we have that God cushion within the equation. Now, it might be another case where someone have done something that they promised that they wouldn't do. And now you have to come to a point where they might say, man, hey, listen, man, I was at a weak point and I didn't mean to do it. It's just something that happened and I'm sorry. And having that God cushion in that equation, now you can say, well, you know what? I forgive you, but, you know, I trust that this is not going to happen again, given that we know and understand that there's a possibility that it will. But having God in that equation, it helps to cushion the blow in the event that it will happen. And I know that this is something that we all are guilty of. So putting your confidence and your trust in man is not something that the Lord subscribed that we should do, because we all are subject to different level of vanity, different level of weakness, and different level of temptations. And we're not always able to fight and overcome that battle, even though in our spirit is something that we desire to do. So putting your trust in the Lord, and this is what he says. He says to put all your trust in him and lean not upon your own understanding. Lean not upon your own understanding, because that person can be very charismatic. They can be very convincing. They can, you know, say all the right things to make you feel like you're the only person that matters in the world, and give you that assurance that they're not going to do this or that. And they will at some point do to the contrary. All right. So keep that in mind and try not to move in that capacity. Remember, trust in the Lord. Keep the Lord as the center poling in your relationships, where you both pray together. You both govern and constitute your life based on the moral standings in the Bible. And these things help a lot to eliminate a lot of the pain, you know, because this is what helps to keep marriages together, when you're able to pray together, when you're able to work through your differences. Okay. And that helps to cultivate a better relationship between you, your spouse, and also the Lord. So with that, I hope that it helps and to shed some light about trust. And, you know, wish you guys all the best, and most high willing, we'll talk again soon.